Hello, everybody. Live from Koreatown on a wonderfully calm, gloomy California day. Got a little May Gray a little early. It is the O-ZONE. I'm your host, Omar Miller. I'm here with my brother, Terry Miller. Terry, how you feeling? Are you in the O-ZONE? Are you so fly? You in the O-ZONE? Could you like that? I love our theme song.
Yeah.
Anyways, how are you?
I'm great, dude. How are you?
Right on, bro. Right on.
What space
I've been busy. I've been in a busy space.
Okay.
Just for everybody listening who's excited, who can just stop asking me every 10 minutes. We're reshooting another season of Ballers. We're shooting season 5. We just started. Going to come out to you guys probably late this summer. So hold your horses. It's coming. You get some more to rock, minus Mr. Ed. But we got a lot to cover today, as usual. And, wow, first we want to cover the weekend. There's a lot of stuff that happened over the weekend. Had fights, had action, got the draft. You know, I'm a little disconcerted about the draft because the Raiders have employed John Gruden to run everything, and I just personally don't think it's the best case scenario.
Well, he did his thing. He ran it into the ground.
Yeah, he ran it. The Raiders! It's tough leaving the nation. I hope you guys show me love when I'm on the outside. Don't jump me like you do everyone else at the Coliseum.
Why they can't?
We got a lot of Major League Baseball aces struggling. A lot of stuff going down in the league. But, you know, I want to start off with a quick tribute. I got to spend a little bit of time with a film icon who passed away just yesterday, talking about Mr. John Singleton. I got to hang out with him a few times. John's a good guy. We hung out in Miami mostly when we did see each other. And, you know, you see all of these touching tributes that people give now, and it's just a testament to the kind of person he was, but it's also an inspiration to get out and live your life. Because you see this guy, man, he opened a lot of doors for a lot of people, and a lot of people, like maybe the most surprising one to me was Shonda Rhimes, the mega writer, mega producer, who said that she received a word of encouragement from him on a random phone call when she was just getting out of college and trying to figure out how to pay her bills, and he just gave her some encouragement. That kind of stuff is a big deal, man. It's good, right. And it puts her in a position to then in turn keep going, to be encouraged and turn into what you turn into, and to pay it forward. You know,
I think what's cool about it is, I talk about it all the time to you, is just that when you pass away like that, when people pass away, that most of the people have positive things to say about you. I haven't heard any negative things.
It's cool when that happens, yeah, and it doesn't happen as often as you would like it to. And he's somebody who I haven't heard any bad things about John, any bad stories. And I just condolences out to the family. And back to the world of sports, especially Southern California sports, which John was a big fan of. So, ladies and gentlemen, the boxing portion of the podcast didn't cover last week the big rematch at Superfly with our affectionately known Sorswisket Thor Rigzwingzai, as we call him, the Thai homie. The Thai homie made he came back.
Ran into a little trouble.
He came back into the fold. He'd been having some marital problems. His girl scrambled his eggs. And any athletes out there understand, if you hear something about an athlete with girl problems, chances are this is the time to bet against them, even if they come back, because it's very difficult to have your mind together when things aren't right at home with your woman. And things weren't right at home with the Thai homie's woman. Seemed like it went the wrong way. He took some time off after a series of devastating and totally dominating bouts where he dominated Chocolatito twice, and then he gave it to Estrada, who was unstoppable.
Yeah, it was the pound for pound.
He was the pound for pound champion. I think Chocolatito was 49-0, something crazy like that. 50-0, something nuts. And he came back last night for a rematch of last year's bout in February at Superfly with Estrada. And you know what? Juan was ready for him.
A little dominatrix going on.
And that's what now that's what I heard. I actually didn't get to see the fight. So you tell me.
I saw pieces of it. I didn't get to see the whole thing, but what I did see was just that he was like a target practice. It wasn't any movement. He changed his style, and he actually paid for it. And
you know what he said? Afterwards, they asked him, because he fought most of the fight orthodox, and he's a southpaw, and that's part of his devastation.
Right.
And he said, yeah, we figured he'd prepare for the southpaw, so we turned it around and surprised him.
Surprise.
And there was a lot of people upset about the officiating in that game.
Yeah, because
in that fight, because they were saying that it was saying that it was not close whatsoever.
He looked terrible. I'm just going to keep it 100.
If you're having girl problems, I feel bad for you, son. Man.
He looked terrible. I mean, he was just taking straight shots, jabs, crosses, hooks, everything. He took the whole belly whacker.
I need to watch the fight. I hate to hear that.
You didn't miss anything.
Wow. Between that and our man, friend of the O-ZONE, Regis Arugaru Prograis, went and put in work this weekend in the semis of that 140-pound tournament. And he got the guy out of there. The guy's corner threw in the towel. I do believe it was in the sixth. He could have knocked that guy out, and I believe that he carried him a little bit because that guy hit him after the bell, and he looked like he just wanted to punish him.
Right. You know what, though? He should be in the conversation for pound. Since
this is what he asked. He said, am I on the pound-for-pound list now?
He should be. I mean, what is he doing wrong?
He's completely dominant at 140.
And he's fighting everybody that's in front of him.
And he fights and champions. He took that guy's belt.
Yeah, he took that guy's belt. So it's not like he's handpicking or cherry picking.
No,
everybody.
He's fighting everybody.
He's fighting everybody.
And they're saying Josh Taylor is next, as long as Josh Taylor wins his side of the semi, which would set up an interesting final.
Yeah, he said that he wants him too because it seems like that everybody is calling for that fight.
That's the fight they're calling for. And I don't know. I'm still with Regis.
Yeah, me too.
I think Regis is ready to get into the deep water of names. I think he's ready to get into the deep water with a Mikey Garcia at 140 or with a Terrence Crawford potentially if Terrence has any interest in making it like a catch weight or something like that, maybe 144. But he's a problem, man.
But he's a guy that most of the guys are going to stay away from because he is a problem. He fights. I don't want to say it's unorthodox, but he literally works.
Well, he does
off the jab and works the body, and that's sort of
devastating body shots.
Yeah, and it's sort of a lost art with a lot. I would say that maybe 2 or 3% of all fighters now fight his style of fight.
Yeah, and it's effective. Super effective. Actually, he honestly fights a lot like the Thai homie did the last year.
Yes.
He fights a lot like how the Thai homie fought in 2018.
Yes, where you can't really put a finger on what he's going to do to you.
But it's effective.
Body, head, head, body, head,
Body.
Knock him out.
Uppercut. Yeah. Yeah, I'm very interested to see how that progresses, but we predicted at the beginning that he was going to win that tournament. I say the biggest problem with these tournament formats is that they take so long.
Right.
And then it's kind of easy to forget guys that the guys beat early in the tournament.
Because he has to wait, 3 weeks or 3 months for the winner of the Taylor fight?
The Taylor fight is in 3 weeks. Yeah. And then they have to have, adequate time. Yeah, time off the heel and then to prepare. So I would imagine we would see that fight in October maybe? Mm-hmm. September, October. But this tournament's been going on for a year.
Right.
This tournament, I remember.
I've never been high with the tournament.
The tournament format.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Interesting.
And let the fighters fight, man.
And this is fight week, ladies and gentlemen. It's fight week between Canelo Alvarez and Danny Jacobs, which is a long-anticipated middleweight fight. And they're doing everything they can to sell it as, well, this is going to be, the winner of this fight is the best middleweight in the world. Which leads me to talk about, we'll get into that in a second, but what it leads me to talk about who is the best middleweight in the world is Gennady Golovkin. As far as I can see, I mean, he beat both of these guys that are fighting on this weekend, even though he never got credit for beating Canelo. And the big news is Abel Sanchez and Gennady Golovkin split. This was the big news last week. And wow.
It's disappointing the way they split,
That's the thing. Yeah. That's the thing. Talking about how Abel feels. Abel was Gennady's trainer for his whole career, and he came out sniping after when the announcement was made that they were splitting. And I'd like to hear from some of you guys out here because he's having a gripe over money, and I'm very interested to see because I've talked to a few boxers. Boxing, they call it the loneliest sport on the planet. And ultimately, when you're the boxer, you're the person that is in there fighting.
You're on an island.
Yeah. And the trainer helps you put together a game plan. They help you prepare your body. But you have to execute. And you also have to make adjustments within the fight.
Well, guess what? And you also have to answer the questions after the fight. Or, because if you win or lose or draw, people come to them most of the time.
The boxer.
Yeah, the boxer. They don't go to the trainer. They might go to the trainer for a soundbite or something like that. But for the most part, the fighter is the one who's got to answer the hard questions.
And this is my point. And so the way that it stands from Abel's perspective is that he got lowballed and he feels disrespected because Triple G signed a $100 million deal and now his trainer compensation schedule didn't match that $100 million deal. Now, the question becomes, does a trainer deserve a larger portion. Now, I would love to know what the numbers are that he was looking for versus what he got.
Right.
What he got offered. Because as a trainer, are you expecting to get 20% of somebody's dough?
I guess he is, actually.
That's a lot.
That's a tall order.
It's a tall order. And I feel like this idea is a fairly new one because of social media and because of the 24/7 media element of boxing now with all of the blog sites, podcasts like ours and so on. Because prior to, I would say, this past generation, I'd say prior to 2000, the only managers, the only trainers, that the casual boxing fan ever knew was Angelo Dundee,
right,
Emmanuel Stewart, maybe Eddie Futch, and that's it. You can't really, guys. The general public knew more referees by name and face than they knew boxing trainers. Now you have the trainers have their own version of superstardom. Freddie Roach is linked with Manny Pacquiao,
right?
And yet there was that period just recently when Manny Pacquiao skated from Freddie Roach after they went down to Australia, and he didn't like the results. And one thing that I'll say that seems to be similar between Manny and Freddie and Abel and Triple G is after that Horn fight, Freddie Roach really didn't put up much of a protest, as much as one would think he should, about the decision of the fight. He seemed more leaning towards how he was going to talk to Manny about retirement.
And I think because what he saw from Manning at that point, if you go back and watch the fight, is that he didn't open it up all the way. And now it's a problem for him. He wants a guy who's going to sell out and do everything that's necessary.
Get that guy out. Get that bum out of there.
Not carrying guys and not taking it to a decision when you don't have to. Because I honestly felt like he could have got Jeff Horn out of there.
In the 9th round, they were going to stop the fight. The ref was going to stop it, let alone. And Manny's looking at the ref like he didn't want to hurt the guy. And if that's the case, you shouldn't be in the ring.
Right. And then when we talk about Triple G and Abel, you're talking about another situation with Canelo and Triple G getting in there, and then Abel actually after the fight wasn't.
This is what I'm saying. The similarities lie.
Yeah, but I felt like the fights were in two different categories because Triple G literally won both of those fights. He didn't drop him. He dominated the fights, and everybody who's really a boxing aficionado or a fan knows that. There's maybe 5% of boxing fans out there that thinks that Canelo really won those fights.
5% of boxing
fans.
I think it's a larger number than that. But
do you?
Yeah. That's
when I read comments and stuff like that. People realistically know that Triple G beat him. I see that just a handful of Canelo fans that say that he lost that fight.
I think there's more than a handful, but it's all good. Go make your point though.
But my point is that when Abel came out afterwards, he sort of conceded that.
That's what it seemed like.
But that wasn't warranted. It was just like more so that Triple G didn't follow his game plan, so he got what he got.
Yeah, and and I wonder. I would love to be a fly on the wall to know if that had something to do with it. And but to jump back into the story now with the world of super trainers, if you will, you got guys that people know. Super trainers. People know Nacho. Mm-hmm. People know Abel. Mm-hmm. People know Freddie. Obviously, still Roach. People know Joe Goosen. People know Virgil Hunter.
Derek.
People know Derek. People know there's one more, Robert Garcia.
Right.
People know guys now, and they have weight. They have much more weight, seems like, in the public. And I don't know if that weight translates into the gym and into financial terms. Now, the situation with Mikey and Robert, it's completely different. They're actual siblings, so, that brings a different element to the table. But I would love to know, because I've spoken to a couple boxers who were like, you know what? Abel didn't make Gennady, and the way that he's talking is like he was the fighter or like he made Gennady. And and I've talked to a couple fighters and who were like, yeah, but at the same time, on different times, they're like, at the same time, he was with him the whole time. So I don't know what the ask was. That seems to be the big question. Like, what was the ask or what was the offer that was so offensive?
Right. And it might have been a thing where as the zone threw a big number out at him, at a Triple G, and then so he naturally just felt like he was going to get a big chunk of that.
This was what it sounds like, and we know Abel, we know Abel's son. They seem really good people. We're going to be hopefully at some point we get to talk to him and figure out what's going down. Mm-hmm. And we know Gennady, so we just got to. It'll be interesting to see who he goes with, because if you look at what happened with Freddie Roach and Manny Pacquiao, Freddie came back in the fold and swallowed his pride and came back in the fold under Boo Boy. He wasn't the main coach. Boo Boy was the main coach when he just came back. And that's when Manny started to dominate again.
But they have a relationship. It seems like more of a relationship because I felt like that Triple G and Abel had a relationship more like a father-son relationship, but it doesn't. Obviously, it's not like that. But with Freddie and Manny, you can actually see a relationship. I feel like
that has blossomed from the time the guy was 20 years old, 15 years old.
And I feel like Freddie was with Manny. He felt like I don't want him to get hurt on my watch.
Yes,
he might get hurt.
I won't allow that
on my watch.
Yeah,
I'm out.
Yeah.
And
maybe that's a good point. It's a really good point. So yeah, that was the big news. And we also had a sleeper fight, that Robert Easter Jr. fight. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't see it.
Oh, you didn't miss anything.
Did he lose again?
No, they fought to a draw. It was a waste of time.
Robert Easter is a guy
nobody wanted to commit. No, I agree. I agree with that. And he runs around with the Lions, so who actually do live up to their potential. He runs around with the Charlos and Earl Spence and guys who are serious. So I wonder. I think Regis is part of that crew too, that Houston-based team. Yeah, and so that leads us to now, which is the fight of the weekend, which could be a fight of the year. You got Canelo Alvarez, you got Danny Jacobs. For people who don't know much about Danny Jacobs, you should go watch that 40 Days on DAZN. Because it talks about how Danny Jacobs, they call him the Miracle Man because he had a rare cancer wrap around his spine, and it caused him to not be able to walk. He was paralyzed, and this is while he was actually a champion fighter. And I think he had lost one fight and then found out that he had this devastating, debilitating thing and had to make his way all the way back. His life was in danger, and he had to make his way all the way back to the ring. Did that, recaptured his belt, and has since then only lost to Gennady Golovkin. And actually, I may say he gave him the best fight out of anybody.
Yeah, really competitive.
That last Gennady-Canelo fight was a good fight. But
I feel like Danny was way more, even though Danny got knocked down, it was more competitive than the Canelo.
And since Danny got knocked down early, it changed. After that point, he was an animal.
Right.
Man, he was vicious. It was just he dug a hole. He dug a hole already.
The only downside with what we were speaking about earlier off air was that Danny, we don't know the wear and tear from that fight.
He hasn't looked exactly the same since that fight.
Yes.
And he's fought guys who aren't of the same caliber as when you're talking about Gennady Golovkin and Canelo Alvarez, you're talking top tier.
Yeah.
These guys, this is the
elite fighters.
These are elite fighters.
Yeah.
And you got to come with your A game. Now, with that being said, Danny has everything you need to beat Canelo Alvarez.
I completely agree because what you need is to be a better athlete than he is, and then he can use that against him like Floyd did. Floyd made him look like a little kid.
Yeah.
And that was, even though you can talk about the age discrepancy and everything else, it really didn't come down to that. It came down to him just being
skill
set and superior athletic.
That's part of his skill set.
Yes.
It's superior athleticism.
He just was all over the place. I mean, he made him swing and miss and everything else. And Danny has that, except that he's a little bit taller. A lot taller and bigger.
He's bigger than Canelo.
Now, there's a lot of catch situations in this fight. As far as weight, weigh-ins, and things like that. So he can't blow up too big.
And that's going to be a factor, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because you could, if that stipulation hadn't been placed in by Oscar De La Hoya, he probably would come in at 185.
Yeah. 180, 185.
Yeah, 180, 185.
Maybe 190.
And it would be very difficult for Canelo to hurt him at that weight.
Right.
Now they're talking about there's a 10-pound limit, which we need to see how much if Danny is going to have any strength loss from being sucked down, from getting down to that 160 and only rehydrating to 170. Mm-hmm. It's a big difference because if you actually guys, we know Danny, and if you see Danny, he's actually not a small guy at all. You wouldn't think that, say, a normal walking around, I would say Danny, if he wasn't a fighter, would walk around at 180 easy.
Yeah, 180, 185,
easy.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Nice 185.
Yeah, really solid 185. Mm-hmm. And, so getting down there, I don't know. This is going to be interesting to see. Now, the thing I like about Canelo is he's full of confidence. Canelo actually believes he won both of those fights against Triple G.
Which is crazy.
Which is lunacy. And he has the confidence of the belts.
Yes.
And he talks like somebody who has the confidence of the belts.
He's talking slick with the belts now.
Talking slick, which is just mind-blowing to me because I just read something the other day where Canelo had the nerve to say if Gennady gets a belt, maybe he'll fight him again. And Gennady came back with the best response and said, this is ridiculous. He goes, he brought nothing to the table when I fought him. And I fought him with my belts on the line.
Yes. Twice.
And those were Gennadi's belts.
Yes.
All of them.
All of them.
and
everyone you can think of or make up.
Yeah. And now Canelo and Oscar De La Hoya are saying that, I mean, I'm very surprised that it's not cool. And I don't know, maybe it's just hype to get under his skin for, you know.
I don't think it's hype. I think that actually in their camp they know, because I feel like Abel Sanchez at this point probably is the wrong trainer for Gennady fighting against Canelo, because we haven't seen anybody work in either one of these fights.
Yes.
So if you get with another trainer that's actually going to focus on that to break Canelo down, then you would talk about Canelo probably being stopped, because the jab was way too much. And this is where I think that Danny comes in, because Danny will pop that jab and has the distance that you make a guy like Canelo, who's probably 3 or 4 inches shorter, have to extend himself to come in and to get in. Now, Danny has punch.
Danny's got power, and Danny has confidence.
Exactly.
Just in the past couple fights, Danny hasn't been sharp.
Yes.
And you're going to have to be sharp to beat Canelo.
Well, you have to be sharp not just because of the actual fight, but the actual refereeing and everything else that goes on.
Well, this brings up another factor. The 3 refs that were chosen at, quote, random are the same 3 refs that scored, the judges rather, the same 3 judges that scored the last bout between Canelo and Triple G. And, you know, it is what it is. Oscar De La Hoya came out and said, I don't want to hear anything about Canelo in Vegas. Apparently, you couldn't fight me in Vegas, and I remember losing in Vegas several times.
He didn't lose that much. His record, he don't have that many losses on his record.
And it is it is what it is. It is what it is. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that, and then when you add to that, you know, everybody's just totally and completely swept under the rug that Canelo tested dirty a couple times.
Right.
It's like it never happened.
And I like Canelo. I like
the
nice guy and everything.
The nicest guy. He's a cool guy.
But just
Canelo.
like when we just had Sean Porter here the other week, you don't do that by accident.
Yeah.
That's not by accident. I think everybody can say whatever they want to. He literally has tested dirty, and everybody acts like he hasn't. And Triple G literally could have called that fight off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. He could have called that fight, especially after the first time he already got paid.
Yeah. Come on, man.
You have that, and then to sidebar into that, maybe the most astonishing thing in the world, we've been talking about it for a couple of weeks now, Anthony Joshua hasn't been able to find a fight to replace Big Baby, because Big Baby tested positive not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 times. Now the punishment comes down, and it's a 6-month ban.
Which is nothing.
Especially since they can only the commission in New York can't give him another license now. So basically, as long as he goes somewhere else and they give him a license to box, he's good. 6 months, and you're talking about putting guys' lives in danger at the heavyweight.
I think it's a thing where they have the WBC or whoever he fights in, whatever group he fights in, has to police themselves and say, you know what, we're not.
But this is all of boxing. This isn't just one. This isn't
no. I'm just saying whoever
sanctioning
it is,
body.
IBF or whatever it is, they just have to blackball him in a sense. This is where it's warranted, because he's literally not playing by the rules. And what's going to make him play by the rules if you never punish him for it? Because taking 6
and
months,
others, and not just more so than just Big Baby, everybody else who looks at it and says, "Oh,
slap on the wrist, A-Rod.
Yeah. This is A-Rod. I got $550 million, and I get to ruin Sunday Night Baseball every week."
Right. And you can't watch it anymore.
And now I can't watch Sunday Night Baseball. Missed a good game too with the Astros,
right?
Because this bum's got to play catch in the outfield with Tony Kemp. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable to me. The way the world works, man. Because you're never just crazy. So 6 months. They gave Big Baby a 6-month ban for testing for not finding any blood in his blood, which is just lunacy.
Not finding any blood in his blood?
No, all they found was juice in his blood. They didn't find any blood. They didn't find one white blood cell. All juice.
Wow, what kind? Pineapple, orange?
No.
A melange.
A doxycycline. It was always a one of those. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. The way that the world incentivizes cheating is just something I just can't get over it.
That only the president can understand.
Exactly. With his fast food buffet. Oh, man. Did you see that picture? The girls, the Baylor's girls team looking at him with the complete side eye? It was a fantastic picture.
Right?
Fantastic. Yeah, man. But back to this Canelo-Danny Jacobs fight. How do you got the fight?
I honestly feel like I've never seen Canelo down or whatever, but if I don't know their game plan, but if you have the right game plan, I really honestly don't feel it's difficult to beat Canelo because of his.
Hey, you taking him on?
If I have to. I mean, sometimes you never can tell.
You're up next on his deal with the Zone. He gets $36 million. You get 36 stitches.
At least give me $36, one for each stitch. But the thing of it is that not Floyd didn't just give you the blueprint, but you have to literally go back to old school boxing where you establish everything off of the jab. One of the things that Gennady did as well was establish it with the jab, but he never went to the body. Danny has a sizable
size difference, advantage,
and in that, Canelo has to extend himself to get to Danny. If Danny uses that to his advantage, Canelo will have a long night, even if the refs want to cheat, because he could literally, if he fought like a fight like a Larry Holmes type of player would do, or Sugar Ray Leonard and or Robertson or any of them, stand out there, pop that jab, close that eye, make sure he can't see it coming, then come over the top, fight. That's fight. And nobody has been able to overcome a good jab to one piece of your skull, which is your eye, to close it up, and then come over the top with that right.
I don't know. I mean, he did it with Gennady.
He didn't. His eye wasn't closed. I'm talking about literally focusing on cutting his eye, swelling his eye.
He's not really a cutter.
What is
he gets hit, and I don't really see him. I don't see him.
Exactly.
I don't see him.
But I don't see anybody. Literally, when you watch the old-time fighters like Larry Holmes and, even a lot of the classic fighters, they focused on popping the jab to a specific region of your face, like a left eye or a right eye, to the point where you have a close, where you get a mouse and then you have closure. In that mouse or closure, then you get a cut. Nobody has been able, unless you can have good defense for that, nobody's been able to overcome that. I don't think that he can overcome it.
Well, it's going to be interesting because Canelo is willing to get hit.
He is.
Because he's a counterpuncher.
Mm-hmm.
And can Danny take the power of Canelo? Because he's taken the power of Gennady, but it got him off of his feet. And to me, I think that the weight factor is going to come into play. I think Danny's going to show well. If it goes to the cards, there's
Danny's
no
not gonna win the
chance
decision.
that Danny gets a decision. And Danny knows that. And yet also I believe that this is Danny's opportunity. It's his time. I'm very interested to see. I'm looking forward to a good fight. And I have to say, Canelo Alvarez consistently overperforms my expectation because I see him very impressive against bums.
Yes.
And I've seen him not so impressive against good fighters. I would say the biggest thing that was unimpressive, which ended up being spectacular, was his 6 rounds against Amir Khan.
Right.
Whereas Amir Khan, if he would have
winning the fight,
if he would have stuck to the blueprint and not fallen in love with his own hand speed and kept his chin out of the way, he could have outpointed him in theory. But that's in theory. Who knows?
Well, Eddie Hearn,
and then what ends up happening is he got knocked out. I'm going with Danny, and I'm a homer on this one because I love Danny. And that's what I got. I'm sorry.
Well, I don't really have a horse in the race, but I feel like Danny's going to win it. I like Canelo and I like Danny. I like Danny as a person. I like Canelo as a person.
Yeah.
I like Danny better as a fighter. Okay. I feel like Canelo, not to discount what he's all about, but he's more hype. For me, he's not in my top 5 pound for pound.
Okay, but I don't have Danny in my top 5 pound for pound either.
Yeah,
we're just talking about the middleweight division. At the middleweight division, I got Gennady, I got Gennady, I got Canelo, and I got Danny. That's who I got in the middleweight division. And I got Charlo, as well, right there, hovering as well, right at the bottom of that list. But I like Danny, and I like Danny's work a lot. I don't, and I know because I know how you talk about him. It sounds like you discount Canelo more than I think. I think it comes off like you discount Canelo more than you're actually trying to discount Canelo.
Yeah,
and it's hard to criticize a guy who has 1 loss, even if I feel like he should have 3 losses.
Those losses, I mean, you can put him on the record, whatever, but he has not.
I don't think he beat Lara. I don't think he beat Erislandy Lara, and I don't think he beat Gennady Golovkin.
Either one of those fights.
But that's what I'm saying. That's 3 plus the loss to Floyd, which he got a split decision that he got 1 card out of that, which is just maybe more absurd even than the card that he got that put him over the top with the first fight with Triple G to get the draw.
Right.
Which is craziness. So, because he got shut out in that fight against Floyd. There's no way you could have a card for Canelo. I don't even know if he made contact.
Right. Did he land 100 punches?
I don't think. I would be amazed. If he did, they gave him some. But moving on to the NBA and the NBA playoffs. Oh, my. The second round has commenced, and we have a caller who wants to chime in.
What up, though?
You got it.
Next victim, live on the O-ZONE. How you feeling?
Feeling good. What up, O-ZONE? Been a minute. How y'all doing?
Oh, man, just I'm on the grind, man. I'm talking about some fights. We over here doing
All to
this
the bueno.
thing.
Cool. That's awesome. Happy May. Happy May.
Boy, you sound like you in your Barry White mode.
You sound like you're trying to
Man,
seduce
every
the
time I call in,
I'm
I
a
got
good
something to say
kid.
about what mode I'm in. Man.
Love you.
You're in the zone. Well, now you're in the zone mode. And what we want to talk about is the NBA second round. And now, to me, yeah, we're talking about bad officiating in boxing and so on and so forth. And now I found something to be very interesting. I wanted to get both of your takes on. They came out with something that I really like called the last 2-minute report in the NBA. And I wasn't even familiar with this. But the last 2-minute report is I guess basically the officials review all the games. But in the last 2 minutes especially, they put out a report on any games that are close. And in that, they came out and said, we blew 3 calls in this Golden State Rocket game. One of them was one we did not blow was James Harden kicking his legs out. That should not have been a foul. One we did blow was Klay Thompson drug his foot, and that should have been a travel. Another we blew was Steph Curry actually fouled someone, and that should have been a 3-point foul. And another one that we blew was Steph Curry fouled somebody else. So besides highlighting the idea that Steph Curry seems to be a defensive liability in a lot of ways, I just thought it was very interesting for them to speak on the idea of making fault. And it seems like they're trying to bring the integrity. It's not like they said, okay, we messed these up, so now this changes the result of the game. They're saying, in review, we messed these up in the flow of the game, and we admit that.
But the Rockets research team says that it claims that the major officiating will cost them the title.
Well, they're saying it cost them the title last year.
They're saying it right now.
Yep.
Yeah, but obviously, if it continues that way, that's what they're saying is it cost them.
I know, but I'm saying that it's bogus. Those are excuses. The same thing that's going on in society everywhere. Nobody wants to take responsibility. Why doesn't James Harden focus on making the shot and quit trying to get a foul, which he gets more foul calls than everybody in the league, and make his jumper instead of sitting around crying to the refs? Everybody gets bad calls in every single game.
But this is what the league created when the Splash Brothers came into the league and just started shooting everything from long ball. And then, because James Harden, he wasn't doing this when he was in OKC. He was to the rack. So then, with Golden State getting the Splash Brothers and putting them shots up, 35, 40-footers, now it's these are fouls. They flaring their legs. They flaring their arms every time a shot goes up. And it's like, it's just bad basketball. And I wish that it would go back to Channel 4, the NBC playoff days where
where the Heat played the Knicks every Sunday.
Where they played every Sunday.
And somebody got hurt.
Yeah. Because, this basketball now, it irritates me. And
it's hard to watch.
Yeah. Well, they did let them play in the Boston and a Milwaukee game more so than they've let them play in any other series. This first game of the playoffs.
But both of those teams play a more traditional fundamental style of basketball.
Right.
So this is what Victim is saying. And actually, I hadn't thought about that, and he's absolutely right. What has happened is the game has stretched away from the basket itself, is that now the game is actually in the hands of the officials more, which is craziness. And just like I was saying before, I like Boston to come out of the East. Because
I said the same thing.
Oh, did you? I said it a couple of weeks ago.
So that means that both of you guys are wrong.
Okay, I said it a couple of weeks ago at the start of the playoffs. And I like the idea that Boston can beat a team and hold you to 80 points, like that Eastern Conference game between the Knicks and the Heat.
I'm saying the 76ers are looking like.
I believe Boston can play either way.
They can run you up and down the court, or they can play a tight game.
Yes.
And they always play defense, and they always have a game plan because they have the best coach that's still in the playoffs.
And what's going to be beneficial to them is once they make it out this next round, Marcus Smart is going to be there, so they're going to have even more defense.
Yes, and that's the key. They need to get out of this round and get Marcus Smart back. He's a critical component.
Well, is Baines going to play? Because it looked like Baines got hurt. Baines got hurt.
What? Oh, he didn't get hurt. I thought I was doing fine.
Baines got hurt.
I saw him get hurt, but I thought he was cool. I thought they just took him out because the game was lopsided.
No, he got hurt early. I didn't see him come back. Did he come back?
No, he didn't come back.
It's big because that means that Al would have to move back to the 5.
Al Horford is putting on a clinic out there.
Yes, the pick and pop is real, ain't it?
The defense is real.
Yes. Yeah.
The defense is real. It's chest to chest defense.
That's the way the game's supposed to be played.
And that's why they don't call the fouls. It's one of those weird things where you can't necessarily pinpoint it, but when you see it, you know it's right. Because the referees can't pinpoint why it is that they make all these terrible calls in all these games with all the jump shooting teams. But then when they see the game played the right way, it's like, ooh, up and under. Vicious.
Even for the officials, though, the officials have to make a humongous change because these cats got 20-plus years of officiating. So you know they've been watching Diesel and Lajuan and everybody else in the paint. Now they have to officiate the smaller guys shooting threes like big men.
Well,
they said Baines is questionable. But Brad Stevens expects him to play.
Yeah. I mean, it's just the league is watered down to me. When I listen to watch a guy like James Harden, because I don't appreciate his game like most people do, I don't really appreciate it because I feel like most of this jump shooting and everything else and complaining about the refs nonstop. Back in the day, James Harden wouldn't put up half the points that he puts up now because probably somebody would hurt him, being honest.
Yes.
Right.
You're not just gonna go to the rack endlessly.
Yeah, you're just gonna go get the cup anytime you want to.
Go to the cup anytime you want to get fouls.
And then talk crazy.
Filet.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you're gonna be getting up off the ground.
Right. At the minimum.
Right.
Yeah. At the minimum, if not getting stretched out.
They should back in the day they should have had to get up off the court stats. How many times you gonna get knocked down and get it back up?
Right.
Yeah. Because these dudes is the flop game is nasty.
Oh, the flop game is terrible. That one Jokic did last night I saw was terrible. He ran into somebody's shoulder and kicked his head back like he had a stroke or something. Unbelievable. 7 foot, a big 7 foot, a thick 7 footer.
Yeah. I mean, it's too far now, but the league needs to do something. And they should, the refs, I hope they stick to their guns and not give in to D'Antoni because what he wants to do is to make the league conform to his style of play. And this is how everybody's in the past have done it. They complain and they try to hold people at social ransom so that you'll change the game. And then once you change the game, it's for the worse, not the better. Because this is one person and just one team that's trying to change the rules to benefit them, not thinking about the NBA or the future of the league. It's not right.
Well, I'll tell you this. James Harden was complaining so much, and it's like this is something that he created. With that being said, it's him and Chris Paul. Chris Paul is going to get hurt sometime during this series. But now you got to deal with. No, I'm not that type of guy. But you have to deal with Kevin Durant flopping. You have to deal with Steph Curry flopping. You have to deal with just the light-skinned brothers flopping all on the court.
All just nonstop. And then talking crazy. Nonstop. I went to the Clippers game where they got sent home. And for one, I have to say, the Clippers made me want to renew my season tickets because the Clippers played hard, man. Had a lot of respect for the Clippers. Clippers are real.
They just need a new coach.
I don't even think they need a new coach. I think they just need, with this squad that they got, they need one more piece. That's it. They need a Kawhi. I hope the one guy they get is not Kevin Durant, to be honest. But
new coach.
They need, you just hate Doc Rivers.
I don't hate Doc. I just hate his style of coaching. This style of coaching is not working anymore.
Come on, man.
Style of coaching worked.
The team that he had this season.
I was about to say, this team was not supposed to get where they got. And low-key, they tricked late in the season, and they would have had the 4 seed.
Yeah, but then Jerry West gave you the Jerry West, got you some crazy nice pieces, undercover nice pieces.
Which is and he still had to coach him.
He didn't have to coach him, dudes.
Come on.
The Clippers and Jerry West.
So now why does Steve Kerr have to coach and he doesn't? Or he doesn't have to. Come on.
You're trying to compare the Clippers roster to the roster that Steve Kerr has had for the past 5 years?
It's not Steve Kerr's fault. He's the good coach. He's a good coach.
It's not Doc Rivers'
great
fault.
Players. It's not Doc Rivers' fault. Doc Rivers had nothing to do with Blake Griffin's quad coming off every playoffs. He had nothing to do with Chris Paul's hammy popping every playoffs.
Maybe it was. Maybe he did. We don't know that. We weren't there. Well, let me tell you something. Steve Kerr, the Golden State Warriors didn't win until Steve Kerr got there.
Yeah, which is also when the Fab Five showed up.
It wasn't. They had it when Mark Jackson was there. Mark Jackson couldn't get him over the hump.
Yeah, they did. They got rid of Monte Ellis, which had nothing to do with Steve
And they got rid of your man, Harrison Barnes.
No, Harrison Barnes was the reason that they became all-world. He was one of the big key reasons in the first season.
No, Steve Kerr took them over the hump.
No, he did not. It was a young team.
You talking about? Yeah, they were a young team.
They were a young team.
That's actually when I liked the Warriors. And I know it well because I went to a couple of their games back when you could get tickets to the Warriors games for like lunch money.
For $15.
Exactly. and actually Monte Ellis was my favorite player on the team.
Monte could light it up.
And then they got rid of Monte.
He got old overnight.
You know what happened?
They put all their trust into Baron Davis, and Baron Davis' knees and everything else was all bad at that time.
Did. Baron Davis, he got old overnight. Monte didn't get old because he kept balling around the league.
No, he didn't.
Monte had went and had that motorcycle accident that you didn't need.
Right.
That went the wrong way. It went the wrong way. And then they got him out of there, and that's when they invested fully into the Steph Curry style of play.
Which Steve Kerr brought on because Steve Kerr is a jump shooter. Mark Jackson was a point guard that liked to actually play in the post and pass the ball around. They do a lot of passing, but they're a shoot first team.
Well, I think.
Oh man, come on.
They're not a shoot first team.
They had Al Harrington who was balling out during that time. They made it to the playoffs. They was decent.
Don't make me go to the stats.
Was too strong and they were young.
Make me do it.
Oh,
come on, but back to the Clippers.
Yeah, put a butt.
The Clippers was playing money ball. They were like the Oakland A's of the NBA.
Clippers ain't going nowhere until they get rid of Doc Rivers.
I don't agree with that because what I saw,
first round again.
The first round with a team that's not even supposed to make the playoffs.
Obviously, Lou Williams is the sixth man of all time. Why should
he's sixth of all time? And you got one sixth man of all time, and a bunch of other cats that are all role players. Right. There is not one dude that's the guy. And Lou Williams, by the way, is like your height.
Yeah, he lit it up. AI is his mentor.
Yeah, and that's not enough to win the championship. By the way, it's not enough in the bench.
It's not enough.
It's not enough.
When teams got 2 and 3 stars, come on, man,
or more. Or in the Golden State case, they got 5. They got literal 5 Hall of Famers starting for half of the season. Mm-hmm. This dude want to put on Steve Kerr. He's nasty. He's just trying to get people riled up in the O-ZONE. Ladies and gentlemen, you can call in and argue.
Say that about Icon forever. He nasty.
You can call in and tussle with my brother if you feel like it with his absurd conversation at 424-254-9663. That's 424-254-ZONE. They won't want it if you don't let me get the number out so that they can't call.
Well, give it to them one more again.
The 424-254-9663.
And come with facts, not conjecture.
Anyways, who do you got, Victim? Who do you got in this series with Toronto and Philly?
The Clippers.
See, Icons, here we go.
Here we go.
You know, yeah, I like Philly. I like if Joel Embiid can get his mind completely right.
And his guts. Apparently his guts was messed up. Yeah, you can't ask me I can't give you 10 and 10 with the bad guts. Let alone 25 and 15.
I can't give you nothing.
I can't give you nothing but a trip to the bathroom.
The adrenaline to get you where you be like, you know what? I'm tired of these guts. I need to go out and get 15 and 10.
I need 15 and 10.
I think they got the pieces. I think with the Jimmy Butler, if he can continue to play the way that he did, they all right, man. I think they're well balanced. I think J.J. Redick needs to stop selling for the 3 so much and just try to get to the rack.
That's not his game.
But it doesn't matter. Change your game up. You're a professional. You know how to score.
They didn't bring him there to go to the rack.
For threes.
They brought him out there to be a sniper.
Oh, man. I hate this dude, go.
To me, it's the coach. Brett Brown is a terrible coach, and I don't think you can win with all that talent that they got. And on paper, honestly, you can say that their roster rivals the Warriors on paper. And just like they messed up Markelle Fultz's shot, and just like they messed everything up last year, I don't believe – because their stars are so young other than Jimmy Butler. When you're talking about Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, that kind of youth needs coaching. It needs guidance. And it doesn't – I haven't seen Brett Brown be able to bring that out.
Well, I think that you got a floor general in Jimmy Butler, and I think that he can take them to the next level because he's not that far off of being one of the best player in the league. He's really in the top 5.
I agree with that.
So I think that if you let him go out there and give you the Jimmy Butler, not the James Butler, but the Jimmy Butler, you got a nightmare coming because Jimmy Butler is just as good as anybody that's playing in the playoffs.
Huh. Right. I agree with that.
He lit him up last night.
I agree with you in life. Like, that's a great point. But him and Jimmy Butler and also Tobias Harris, if them two can just really show up and play, that's a deadly combination.
Sure is. I mean, they have all. It's not about their personnel. For me, it's completely about the coaching, because I think Ben Simmons is going to be something so special. I think the best thing is he's playing in the shadow of Embiid and Butler and blah blah blah.
So he can hide a little bit.
Yeah, I think have this conversation 10, 15 years, we're going to be like, man, this kid Ben Simmons is talking about GOAT status. This kid, if he develops a jump shot with the skill set that he has, he's a real problem, because he can play defense. He can do it all. If he would but he's only 21 years old or whatever. So once he give him a little time.
Yeah, he's in the shadow of Giannis, though. That's going to be another problem for him as well.
Ooh,
I don't think it's a problem. That's the thing.
It takes Giannis a couple of years to get a shot, too, though.
Yeah, but this is my point. I think that's actually good for him. I don't think you always need to be, especially him being Australian, I don't think you need to be the star. I think that applies a pressure that you don't necessarily need while you're getting your game together.
Because they're trying to pass the torch to Giannis, rightfully so. But
yeah. Do you think Milwaukee comes back and beats the Celtics this series?
They can. I don't know if they will. I mean, it's not up to Giannis.
It's a yes or no answer.
It's just unbelievable. He just gave us the Republican answer.
Yeah, but this is up to the other players who are surrounded him, because he actually showed you, because everybody's talking about him getting a jump shot, but what Giannis did last time was that he didn't score at the rack. He scored from outside. He hit the jumper. He hit 3 threes, and he hit from outside.
Big O.
Is it the truth?
After the series, Icons is going to come back and say, if Milwaukee wins, this is what I was trying to tell you guys. See, Milwaukee was going to win.
Nah, you can go back to the tape on me.
100%.
But he cannot.
So are they going to come back and win or not?
Answer the question.
Yeah, they'll come back and win. I'm giving it up.
Now
what?
Okay. Well, you're on record.
Right, Charles Barkley. You guaranteeing it, Charles Barkley?
No, I don't guarantee nothing, because I'm not playing. I only guarantee myself. I show myself approved. Oh, boy. You don't have me guarantee nobody else. Only thing I can guarantee is that you don't got your stats together.
Well, I don't keep stats for nobody else that play. I keep my wins and loss stats.
Oh, man. So I got Boston. Kyle Lowry is still Kyle Lowry in the playoffs, unfortunately. So I don't know. Yeah, I feel like his mind just isn't in shape. I don't even his physical thing.
These are fish oils.
It just looks so much worse that he's not in shape, that he doesn't get it done.
Right.
You know, that's like when Melo wasn't in shape and couldn't win. It's like then there's always something for critics to point at and say, man, he should have been in shape and he could have blah blah blah. But I don't know. I think that Kawhi Leonard is the best player in basketball that people don't think is the best player in basketball. Yeah. So I'm going with Toronto, and I like a one. I think between him and if they can put it together with Marc Gasol, I have no faith in Brett Brown. And if it's not this round, he'll trick off the next round. He'll find a way to trick off the last year. He tricked it off. They were really good last year too.
Yeah, but they didn't have Jimmy Butler or Tobias Harris.
I think they had Jimmy Butler.
No, they did not. They just got Jimmy Butler midway through this season because Jimmy Butler was trying to get out of.
No, that's not true.
Jimmy Butler hasn't been with them.
Out of Minnesota. No, he was out. Was he Chicago or Minnesota?
He was in Minnesota.
Minnesota. He was in Chicago, went to Minnesota, then bounced from Minnesota. I thought that was 2018.
No.
Wow. I didn't look that up. Crazy.
Because Jimmy Butler or Tobias wasn't there. So this is what
I know. Tobias just came over.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler. Yeah, Jimmy Butler's wasn't that far ahead of me.
Yeah, so I actually like Toronto. I like Boston. On the other side, I felt like, and watching this Golden State and Rockets game 1, if they would have kept the game going through Nene, I don't see any way that
man.
I don't see any way that Golden State beats them if they actually run the game through Nene and Capella.
Well, the only thing that they could do is bring in Andrew Bogut,
which is a liability.
Yeah, so it would be interesting to see. Because their jumpers are not falling like they have in the past.
No, because the Clippers wore them out. The Clippers guards and the entire team wore the Warriors out.
Dang, they wore out like that.
They made Steph and Clay have to guard the entire game.
And Clay has the conditioning to do that. Steph, I think, doesn't have the body composition to play both sides of the ball for 40 minutes.
And somebody to guard him from at least half court and put some pressure on him.
Right. So, and he's still gonna do his numbers. Now, I'm not trying to discount Steph Curry by any means.
But the only thing that's going to hurt them, which is more important than anything, is that who is going to stop Draymond Green? Draymond Green gets a triple-double, and you're going to lose.
No. Draymond's going to get a triple-double because he got cats. He got 3 or 4 cats on his team that can shoot. So Draymond didn't want no part of Montrez. Bogut didn't want no part of Montrez.
And he didn't want no part of Nene. This is what I'm trying to say.
Obviously, he wanted a part of somebody. He got a triple-double.
And Nene, no, I'm talking about on defense.
Oh.
This is what he didn't want no parts in them. This is the whole thing.
Like that.
That's the whole point. If instead of trying to out-warrior the Warriors, if you actually play a different type of game and not try to match them 3 for 3, the Warriors are so sloppy with the basketball, it's comical.
Yes, they are.
And I watched them. I think they had 11 turnovers in the first quarter, and Houston still didn't. And Houston, every time they got a turnover, wanted to jack up a 3, which was cold at the beginning of the game. It finally warms up later into the game, but this is why it's even hard to watch. If I want to see a bunch of broke jumpers, I could go to Stevenson Park. I'm supposed to be watching NBA game.
Why are you upset with the Warriors?
Don't diss the neighborhood, fool. That's Stevenson Park. So broke jumper too, fool.
Jumper ain't broke. And I didn't mean people from Stevenson. I'm just talking about other people who might have came in for that Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, he got traded on November 18th, 2018. Yeah. So basically at the beginning of this season. But yeah, but honestly, I don't understand. They're so sloppy with the Q passes, especially Steph Curry.
Why are you hating? I'm telling Mama.
That's fine. She loves him. She's so mad at James Harden. She don't know what to do with herself.
I would hate to watch a game with Mama.
Oh, she feels it. She's feeling it. You can't tell her nothing about the Warriors. Team light skin, just like her.
Ain't got nothing to do with that. She just love her some good ball.
That's not good basketball. Care what anybody says. Anyways, now I'm going to say the Warriors win because I don't think that the Rockets are willing to run the game through their big guys, which is where they have a clear advantage. Is through their big guys.
Not this style of play. They just want to shoot threes.
But at the beginning of the game, when their threes weren't falling, they were running the game through Nene, and there was no answer.
I don't think Nene can play a whole game anymore.
I don't think he needs to play a whole game.
Right.
I think he just needs to establish his dominance for a little bit. He doesn't have to play a whole game. I think that's my take on that. Who you got in that series, Victim?
I'm going to go with the Republican Icons answer. And I'm just going to let this series just play out, and whoever wins deserves to win.
We didn't bring you on here for that.
What a week. And nobody brought you on the O-ZONE to toe the line. Toe the line. Toe the line.
The teams, that game.
Just pick a team.
So difficult to watch.
Okay, so pick a team and live with it.
Yeah, I mean, the treble went all the way up. I'm going Rockets.
Okay, go Rockets then. Who you go with?
Of course, if you're going Rockets, I'm going Gold State.
Okay.
He's always wrong.
So we got two Gold States and one Rocket. Last night, the Denver-Portland series was popping, and you know what? Dame Lillard almost was able to bring them back. It was very interesting. I actually watched the whole game, and the Nuggets didn't look great.
No.
But they were way up, and they got to tighten the game with about 4 minutes left. They were down by, I think, 4 or 5 or something like that. And they couldn't close the gap. That's a series that I think is going to be interesting, and I'm actually going with the Nuggets.
I actually feel like they need to get more out of their big men. If they get more out of, meaning Portland. If Portland gets more out of their big men, they'll win that. I feel like the winner of that series is going to go to the finals.
Do you think that the Rockets and the Warriors are going to beat each other up so much?
Yeah, and I just feel like Denver and Portland are the better teams.
Portland plays the Warriors super tight.
Yes.
So who do you have, Icons? You haven't said anyone.
What are you talking about? I told you.
Who do you have? No, that's the Republican. It's not if they get more out of their big men, then they will win. That's not.
Well, no, you didn't ask me. You didn't ask me about that. I told you.
No, I asked Victim, and that's why Victims just asked you who you got.
No, but why is he trying to give?
Because then you said because then you just said that's my take. That's who I got.
You guys can't jump me.
Nobody trying to jump. We just want to get a straight answer from you.
You didn't ask me the question. You asked him the question. Answer the question, next Victim. So who do you have?
I didn't ask anybody about them yet.
So why is it got thrown on me?
I gave my take that Denver was going to win. That was it. So who do y'all have?
I have Portland.
Okay.
Now what? Where you at, next Victim?
Since he going with Portland, I'm going with Denver.
You both of y'all
with Denver.
Little kids.
I do like Portland though, but I really think that they don't have enough. And I love Portland.
Yeah, I think losing the big man took them.
Devin is scared.
He's
That's
busted.
not enough.
His arm is busted.
That's not enough.
Shoulder.
He got that
shoulder.
shoulder.
Myers Leonard. You can't bang with
Not enough.
Yeah.
I feel like their team is well-rounded and they have enough bench players to come and beat them. But if they can steal a game in Denver, then that'll be the difference.
They only got one bench player. Two. They got two. They got the other little Curry brother, and then they got, what's his name, from Ohio State. I don't have enough, but Denver has a deep bench.
Yeah. Well, that's where we are, Victim. Last question for you before you sign off. Who do you got this weekend, Danny Jacobs versus Canelo Alvarez?
Oh, I'm going with Mr. Danny Jacobs.
Ooh, Brownsville.
I'm going with him. I believe in him. Of a role with Mr. Jacobs. I think if he can just I believe he will outbox. I believe he's placed in this position right now to show how great he is. He's had a great fight coming into this fight, but I think it's his time. I really, really do. And Canelo been fighting some weaker opponents. Danny Jacobs been fighting some equal opponents to him. So I think Danny Jacobs goes into the ring and wins the decision. I'm going to say 115, 112.
Wow, you've been calling it.
Wow. Okay. You think they'll give him a fair shake? That's my fear. My fear is just them not giving him a fair shake.
Yeah, it's not Golden Boy no more, so,
It is. What are you talking about? It is Golden Boy.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
That's Canelo signed with what's his name?
Oh, no. That's through Golden Boy. He signed with the Zone for distribution. Golden Boy. Oscar De La Hoya was just on the private jet on Instagram saying how this morning's grand arrivals he was going to be there.
Yeah.
And Danny said he knows he is confident that they're going to raise his hand as the new and the best middleweight in the world come Saturday night because he knows that when he was paralyzed and fighting cancer and he couldn't walk, he knows that God put him in this position to show his power and his grace. Just like, ooh. He give me some of that real deal. He preaching out there.
SOG.
SOG.
Yeah, buddy. Mr. Jacobs, I'm all in. What time we leaving?
Exactly. For real. All right, Victim. Thanks for making time. We'll wrap with you sooner than later.
All right, Ozone. I'm out.
Peace.
Always a good time with our old buddy Next Victim. You can catch him on Twitter at Next Victim, NXTVCTM. I'm lying. I'm getting news right now from Ernie, our sound engineer, that is not his handle anymore. What is his handle? Oh, he's not here. We keep calling him that. He changed his handle. Sure is. At Do It For The Tipper. I lied. Do It For The Tipper. Do IT, the number 4, THATIPPER. He needs a bit.ly for his handle because it's too long. All right, folks. Now, talk to you about the world of Major League Baseball. Well, you got something you want to lay on us? Lay on us, brother. Lay it down.
Well, no. Just to throw out, but that Popovich signed a new 3-year deal with the Spurs.
Oh, Papa's staying in.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. I like it. I like it a lot. Moving to baseball, we still have some unsigned people, and the Atlanta Braves are having a hard time closing out games. And the fans want Craig Kimbrell back, and they're making it very clear. Did you see this?
Uh-huh.
The fans were chanting Kimbrell's name
during the game,
during the 9th inning of games that were not able to be closed out. Wow. And it makes no sense for them to not sign him.
Boston needs him. There's a few teams out there that need him, but you know what? Baseball's playing hardball literally right now, and
because of that CBA.
Because of that CBA, and there's a lot of guys out there that can't get gigs that are worthy,
like Dallas Keuchel.
Yeah, and I felt like the Kimbrell was asking a little bit too much as far as not money wise, but length
time,
term wise, length of contract. But if he's going to trim it down to 3 years, then that's
very reasonable.
That's doable.
Craig Kimbrell is good for 3 years at 40 saves.
Yeah.
He'll still give you 40 saves coming in May.
Yeah, especially on a winning team.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
But you just have to put him in the right situation. But lowballing him and not giving him his value does nothing for baseball.
I just don't understand. Somehow it's like he rubbed somebody the wrong way because people aren't even biting now. That's the wild part.
I just think it's collusion.
Really?
Just another
to bring his number down.
Just another form of collusion, just like they're doing Dallas Keuchel. Because Dallas Keuchel has proven that he's a winner over the past, 3 or 4 years. And a big game pitcher. And they,
for the most part.
Yeah, and they're saying that
in
they're not
Yankee Stadium.
They're not going to give him anything. They're not going to give him anything. They're literally not offering him a contract. He's just like us right now.
Yeah, he's an unemployed baseball player. Damn. That's crazy. And he's a world champion. Wow, that's rough. And a lot of guys getting hurt now. Young guys getting hurt right now. We got Tatis Jr. decided to go full Atsana Bayul.
And stretched his out.
He went full
you need
stretch.
about 20 minutes worth of stretching.
Just to stretch it like that. Jeez Louise.
This is what happens in the game, though. You can't control yourself,
You can't control it.
Not when you're a young stud. You're running around there. You want to make plays. You're not there to try to think about getting injured or anything.
Just for one out.
Yeah, just for one out. He did it. He went all in. Now he's on the IL.
Right.
For at least 10 days. It's probably going to be about 2.5 weeks. You got a pulled hammy now. Now you got to rehab it. Then you got to get your timing back.
Yeah, and he was banging the baseball.
Yeah.
Josh Donaldson out. Eloy Jimenez is out.
What's wrong with Josh Donaldson?
Josh Donaldson got that calf.
Ooh, that's ruined some careers.
It sure has. Ask Jermaine Dye.
Yeah. Eloy is out of his walking boot now, they said, and he's throwing the ball around, so he's going to start baseball activities. They said they're going to work on him and his defense. That's supposed to have been the thing that's been holding him back from getting into the show in the first place. I don't agree, but, his defense isn't great, but it's definitely not the worst in the league, and Chicago really can't complain about anything.
Right. And now we're looking at the Major League Baseball put out a really nice list of 10 struggling aces and who should we panic about. Mm-hmm. And at the top of the list to not worry about is Max Scherzer. And Max is punching dudes out. I mean, this is ridiculous. This guy has, I think, 54 Ks already, something like that. The guy's on pace for another 300 strikeout season. He just got to put it all together. Garrett Cole, he's turning it around. These guys have high ERAs. Carlos Carrasco. But the one that I'd like to worry about is Noah Syndergaard. Syndergaard and Jake DeGrom, because I feel like Jake DeGrom is hurt. Because as I've stated, I think he's the best. He has been the best pitcher in baseball the last year and a half, and he's been getting banged since I said that. And it's because he's got a problem in his elbow, even though they try to act like if you have elbow soreness, it always trips me out what guys in the show are willing, what the trainers are willing to stretch for and say, okay, we're going to take it slow and extra time. And then what they're not. Why are you rushing a guy with the bum elbow back fast?
This is what I said last week. You need to let him sit out. Let him sit out a month. Let it heal. Let you do PRP on it or whatever it is that you need to do to heal, because he's not the now. He's the future. You know
Jake
what I'm
DeGrom
saying?
can be the future.
You're thinking on a micro level, when we don't need that right now. You need for this dude to be around for at least 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 more years. But if you go ahead and try to do it right now, he came back, give up 5 earnings in 3 innings or something like that?
Something you never see.
Yeah. He won't even give that up in like you said earlier, in 3 games.
In 5 games. Yeah. You'll be lucky to get 5. Honestly, in 4 games, you'll probably get 5 runs off of him, the normal Jake. But when it comes to Thor, there's nothing wrong with him except for his mentality.
Yeah. He won't give in to pitching. You can have the velo, but those guys can turn bullets around up there. It's just amazing what your body can do, because once you train your body to see something or to do an action, you can actually perform that action. And although he throws 99, 100 miles an hour, if it's straight, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
So they're laying off the slider.
Throw the slider for a strike.
Laying off the slider that he can't throw for a strike, sitting on his cheese and banging the ball. He's giving up the long ball. He's giving up big time hits. He's walking batters. Everything that you don't need to win games.
Yep. And then you got the number one is Chris Sale. And I actually am worried about Chris Sale.
Oh, he
doesn't look good at all.
Well, he's somewhat like Clayton Kershaw right now, except that Clayton Kershaw has adapted and he hasn't adapted.
And his velocity disappeared overnight, though. You saw
Not really.
Kershaw's,
It dropped a little bit last year. His dropped as well.
He was still bringing 97, 98 last year.
Not at the end of the year.
He was still blowing gas in the World Series.
I don't remember him blowing gas.
96, 97. But we're talking about 90 at this
he's
point.
throwing 90 right now.
Usually you go 97, 98 to 94. We're talking about going from 96, 97 to 89, 90 and sitting at 92. That's a problem. And they got Corey Kluber in this bunch as well. But Corey Kluber is committed to pitching.
Yeah, but Corey,
he just doesn't have the same stuff, which is why he and you feel like, honestly, this is still good baseball, because this is why he signed to that deal that was somewhat club friendly, if you will. Remember he signed that deal for $35 million or whatever it was while he was already in his 30s. Mm-hmm. So, and he gave them 2 great years.
You can't be mad at him.
I'm not mad at Corey. Freaking club at all.
Who else you got on the list?
As far as baseball goes?
No, there's 10 pitchers on that list.
Oh, yeah. I gave him pretty much all of them. I skipped over. We
Walker
went over
Buehler?
Max. No, Walker Buehler wasn't even on the list.
Yeah, I think he's on the list.
No.
Are you sure?
No, it's Scherzer, Cole, Carrasco, Syndergaard, DeGrom, Chris Sale, Corey Kluber, Kyle Hendricks, and Kyle Hendricks is the one, and Aaron Nola. Oh no, Aaron Nola, Yu Darvish, and Miles Mikolas. I actually like with Yu Darvish. Yu Darvish seems like I don't feel like there's anything wrong with him except for him playing with the ball.
Yu Darvish?
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll ever recover from what they've done to him.
That's what I mean. But I don't think it's a physical thing that's wrong with him.
I think it's physical now because they've made it, and when we
he pitched a good game the other day.
Yeah, but when we spoke to people actually in MLB, they've said that he also likes to change his stuff.
And you need to let him change his own stuff.
Yeah.
But see, he touched 98.7 today.
But it's not about but it's not about the velo.
No, I understand that. But he looked good in his last. I was playing against him in the fantasy team. He
you took backs?
Yeah, he looked good. He dealt, and he dealt last week. But the numbers are so ridiculous that his is a command thing. Kind of like Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray looked terrible,
right.
And I have Robbie Ray on my squad.
Robbie Ray's always been wild, though.
But that's the whole problem. And now he's going from 6 walks to start to 5 to 4. If Robbie Ray can walk less people, he can be effective.
But Robbie Ray is one of these guys also that most of these guys that are on this list depend on velo instead of trying to throw off your timing. It's big to throw off the timing more so than it is to throw hard.
It's the biggest thing. And this is what's weird about Aaron Nola.
Yeah, and Kyle Hendricks. Kyle Hendricks is in a bad situation.
The defense let Kyle Hendricks down, though. And I watched a couple of those games when the Cubs were playing really, really sloppy baseball the first couple weeks of the season. And they let him down on plays that, of course, nowadays the official scorer doesn't give the guy an error. They'll give the guy, they'll give him a hit. So then that'll go on his, ERA.
Right. Who's your sleeper team right now?
My sleeper cell? Ooh. They're not really sleepers at this point, but it's the St. Louis Cardinals. I said it from the beginning. I've been riding on the Cardinals since they got Paul Goldschmidt. I love the Cardinals. And Michael Wacha is actually looking like himself from time to time. He's somebody who seems like he's adjusted.
Yeah, he just came back.
He's understanding the adjustment from throwing 97, 98 to doing some pitching. And they got a solid bullpen anchored by your boy Jordan Hicks. So I like them. I like how they play the game. The Cardinal way of playing baseball is effective. Who do you got?
You know what? I really like the Padres, but you know who surprised me right now are the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
They're playing well above their head. I don't think they're going to go anywhere, though.
They have a pretty crappy schedule, though, because they were playing against Pittsburgh, who is playing above their head, but Pittsburgh gave you that bad outfield, which was a surprise.
It wasn't Pittsburgh in general. It's one player that was giving me that bad outfield.
Gregory Polanco. And I think he's personally responsible. They're on an 8-game losing streak now, because before that 8-game losing streak, they were like at the head of the division.
Yeah, and I don't know what happened to Polanco in outfield.
He looked like he was disinterested.
Right. And
he looked completely like, whatever,
nonchalant
super nonchalant to the ball.
Yeah.
As expected, the Angels, with the supposed greatest player of all time in Mike Trout, are in last place. Not a surprise. Shohei Ohtani is coming back soon, though, and that actually could change their fortunes, in my opinion.
In about a week and a half, week and a half. I can't wait. Right? He's going to tear the league a new one.
He's a monster. From what I saw, he's the best player in the world.
Yeah, especially if he's going to focus on hitting.
He's fast. He can hit the ball. He's got pop.
I wouldn't doubt if he's one of the fastest, if not the fastest player in the league.
He looks like it.
Yeah.
Ooh, fastest. You think he's faster than Brian Buxton?
Yeah, I think Trevor Story is close to being faster than Brian Buxton, too.
Trevor Story is fast.
Yeah.
Really fast.
The Colorado Rockies are a team that you got to look at. I'm always high on the Rockies.
You and the Rockies.
They're going to eventually get together, Brian.
Exactly. And then you can say, I was just 18 years too early.
And you bet on them.
Exactly. Oh, my goodness. What do you got? You got anything else? Because that's all I got.
That's it. Action-packed adventure.
You guys don't know what that is, but it's a jam that we like. You may want to check out an episode of O-ZONE Omar if you'd like to find it. But ladies and gentlemen, that's all we got for you today. I'm going to leave you with a quote. The significance which is in unity is an eternal wonder. And that is a quote from Tagore. Ladies and gentlemen, we're all in this thing together. Sending up a prayer to everybody out of that synagogue in Poway. All of these idiots who decide that they're so confused about their identities that they want to harm other people while they're worshiping. They get no love. See something, say something, folks. I'm your host, Omar Miller. Remember, we're all in this thing together. Take care of one another. This is the Ozone.
Ozone.
I'm just living the dream. I'm in love with the lights. This is